Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our session, Opportunity Knocks, Answer with the Perfect Pitch, sponsored by the companies of Cable Ready. Here is our moderator, President and CEO Cable Ready, Gary Lico.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Before I go any further, I'm on the NATPE board, and I just want to say, first of all, thank you all for being here. But for the folks that planned this wonderful conference in this wonderful place at this wonderful time of the year, especially if you're from the Northeast, can we give the staff and crew of NATPE a big hand here? All right, so our goal today is to make a production company a star and give them a little head start on their quest for greatness. Our panel will hear 3 presentations, one each from our producers, and our esteemed panel will give them some comments and some sort of a grade, and we'll declare a winner who will win a 1-year subscription to Cable U, and also from Nicola Lee's the book Greenlit, which is pretty terrific if you haven't read it yet. Before we get going on a little video here, can I ask how many people in the room are producers or from a production company? Okay, so basically everyone, all right? Any programmers from a channel or a network or anything? All right, good, then we can say what we want to say, which is great. Let me introduce you to the people who are going to be judging the fates of our contestants today. First of all, the guy who created History Channel, Charlie Mayday.
Thank you.
Second of all, a guy who's working with us on the Cable Ready side, but has brought a number of companies not only into fruition, but into IPOs. He's an expert at Canadian programming. Welcome, David Fox. We wanted to have a network person here, and we do, except he does work for Cable Ready right now as our VP of Marketing and Sales. But for 18 years, he was launching networks at A&E Television Networks. Peter DeYoung. And finally, one of our most prolific and fun producers, a guy who's been doing some of the longer-running hits in cable television. And by that, I mean no flash in the pan. This guy knows his stuff. You need a particular show, you go to John Burritt of Burritt Films. John?
Thank you.
All right, the rules of the game will be in a second here. Let's first show you, our sponsor today is our sister company, Cable U. Cable U is the only service that analyzes and researches cable networks. We profile every network out there, and every month you get newly crunched numbers on how networks are performing, what they're looking for, what the gaps are in their schedule, and Cable U subscribers are the only ones who know so far how the Oprah Winfrey Network is doing. So the subscription is a modest price. It's $850, but let's show them what they get with this little Cable U video.
Welcome to the new Cable U. New navigation tools, custom alerts, and an upgraded search engine all help make the new Cable U more intuitive, easier to use, and completely interactive. For producers, it's about knowing your clients better. For programmers, it's about knowing your competitors and program sources best. A team of research professionals tracks and analyzes the top 30 networks in cable. Programming so you know what's current. In development so you know what's coming. Expert analysis and network overview all organized into easy-to-navigate sections. With the click of a button, producers can research target networks to learn what's in development and how programs are performing. Key information necessary for developing that saleable show idea. Network executives also benefit from the vast resources of Cable U. Use it to track your competition or find out the real story behind your network's numbers. Stay ahead of the competition. The Network Profile section includes detailed information on virtually every cable network in the U.S. The Cable U Network Needs page gives producers the most up-to-date information about the original programs a network is looking for, making it easier to target your development time and money, and making selling your next show easier. Cable U 101 has all the guidance you need, written by industry professionals about every aspect of the business, from how to pitch, how to price, how to sell, and more. Cable U's video interviews feature one-on-one interviews with the top network executives and producers in the business. And with Cable U Connect, you'll stay completely up to date with breaking news by following us on Twitter, Facebook, or subscribing to our RSS feeds. Stay in the loop while you're on the go. Cable U Confidential is the exclusive free blog site of Cable U, featuring opinions, exclusive stories, and ideas from the Cable U analysts. Top network executives and producers stop by frequently to offer their unique insight and expertise. Cable U offers free daily email insights delivered right to your inbox, an extensive industry links section that connects you to every website in television, press releases and news aggregation, RSS feeds to every network. Cable U is one-stop shopping for the entire cable programming landscape. The new Cable U brings the entire television landscape to your fingertips. Easy to use, necessary to succeed. Independent analysis, essential research. Cable U.
When you are a, thanks. When you are a sponsor, you get to show that much video. The price for Cable U's online subscription is $850 a year, but if you walk in the main entrance to the floor, the Cable U Cable Ready booth is right there. We'll give you a deal only during the convention for $699, okay? Because you're here, we'll give you a break. Let's get going on this. Let's welcome our first production company finalist from dozens of entries, by the way. His name is Mike Roth. His show is Beauty Shop Quartet. Mike. Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mike Roth. I have been in the trenches making nonfiction TV for the last 15 years. I know what it takes to get a show in the can. I've worked as a camera operator, a DP, a director. Some of my credits are The Amazing Race, The Apprentice, Road Rules on MTV. And in fact, this show that I have here today is also a road show. It's about a quartet of a cappella singers. They've been around for 16 years. They've performed in 40 states. And they want to go visit some new places. So they're going to pile into an RV and they're going to explore the rest of the country. Now, they're all good people, they're philanthropists, and they want to give something back to the country that's been pretty good to them. So along the way, they're going to do some volunteer projects. But they also tend to bite off a little more than they can chew. So they're always going to have to recruit the help of locals to help them finish these very ambitious projects. Now, the cities they're going to be visiting tend to be smaller, a little more conservative. And one thing I forgot to mention, all four of the a cappella singers are all drag queens. Let's roll the tape.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Come see our freaking show, or we'll stalk you forever.
My name is Trixie, and I'm part of an a cappella group called the Beauty Shop Quartet.
Tricks and Trampolina.
Is it me? From Heathrow to Death Row, you're all included.
We've performed in 40 states, and it's been a good run. So we're going to give something back by forming our own little Peace Corps. We're hitting the road to do volunteer work. Our first destinations? The 10 states we haven't been to yet.
Alaska, Hawaii, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. Those are the 10 states we haven't yet done.
Okay, we're about to get on the Bay Bridge going west, which I think is not the way to Alabama.
It's the way to Hawaii and Alaska.
I think we just need to be driving a little faster to get that to work.
Now you can bet the locals won't be expecting people like us. But we better make friends fast. You never know when we'll need some extra help.
You sing?
Yes.
We're looking for understudies.
Oh, yeah? What do you want me to sing?
Your favorite childhood song from somebody else's childhood.
Okay.
Oh, boy, I don't know. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday.
We are ready to see America. Only question is
No, thank you.
America ready for us?
Oh, I look gorgeous, and you are right next to me.
Go, go, go.
Nicely done, Mike. Okay.
So basically, if you remember the independent movie Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, it's a reality version of that. It's Priscilla, Queen of the Desert with a little bit of glee, with some elements from Borat thrown in as well. So the structure is every episode will take place in a new town with a new volunteer project and a new set of locals that they have to interact with. Now, it's this interaction with the locals where both the comedy and the conflict are going to come from. These are locals that have never seen 4 drag queens walking down Main Street before. In your packet is a bunch of episode breakdowns for a potential season, but just to paint a picture of a few scenarios, they may have to recruit professional construction workers to try to build a house for Habitat for Humanity, or they may have to go into a retirement home and teach singing and choreography to senior citizens in order to keep a town's parade and still keep it going on. Logistically speaking, there's lots of towns in every state, obviously, and with a new episode per town, we should be able to get about 3 episodes per state, which means after shooting in 5 states, we have more than enough for a 13-episode season in the can. Season 2 can be 5 more episodes, Season 3, 5 more, and so on like that. Very simple shooting plan, back to basics. Take 3 days to shoot an episode, 3-camera shoot, daytime shooting. We'll be shooting while we're traveling, so we're going to minimize downtime while we're traveling. They also write their own music, and I couldn't resist using Yesterday in the sizzle reel, but they have a lot of their original music. They'll be writing a lot for the show, so that'll keep licensing fees down as well. That also gives us a lot of additional material for multiple platforms. Now, I know this is a non-traditional show, and I know it is not for every network. But if you think about how Queer Eye defined Bravo as a signature series for a while, another network has the same chance to do this. So if they're willing to take a risk, be a little edgy, there is nothing like this on the air. Thank you for the opportunity.
Attaboy, Mike.
Yep.
Each of our contestants had the advantage of working with one of these gentlemen up here as mentors. David, you were Mike's mentor. Any thoughts on what you assisted him in doing?
Well, one thing that I got Mike to focus in on, originally he was going to do a different episode in each state, and I felt that that would add a tremendous cost factor. So I asked him to conceive of it as how much can you do in any one town even? You're at 1 episode per town. I believe that this has potential to do even a whole week in the same town if there's a juicy enough story to do that. So Mike's done a good job of bringing down his costs by conceiving of it not from a production standpoint only, but from a cost standpoint.
Okay. Charlie, any questions?
Yeah, well, I really wanted to ask Mike, this is a typical question you get in a pitch session, and that is, who is this intended for? Does it have a target audience? Do you have a target audience in mind? These are slightly older drag queens.
Yes.
So in the back of my mind is, for a younger network, it may not be appropriate. Can you answer that?
Well, really when I think about who would be, who the target is, really I'm thinking about what network this is good for, and then they kind of find the audience. And the 3 networks that I had in mind for this were the Travel Channel, because it's a travel show, and I've heard, I've listened to Elizabeth Browdy speak in development there, and she says that, they're not so much a travelogue channel anymore. They're looking for big characters going on destinations and going on these big adventures, and then I think their head of programming also comes from a comedy background, so it would be great for Travel Channel and their audience. It would be great for Logo and their audience for obvious reasons, and yet I think the show is different enough that it's really not going to be competing with RuPaul's show. And I also think TLC is a good match, because TLC is all about kind of quirky families that do things together, oftentimes businesses, and even though, these 4 ladies aren't related, they refer to each other as sisters, and so I think it's maybe a little edgier than TLC has right now, but if they want to go in that direction, it's a good match for them. So
John,
I think, to answer your question, I'm sorry, go ahead, yeah.
We have time for one more question,
Okay.
a quick one. Either?
My question was, is it small town, big city, or is it, is it always going to be in a small town or in a big city, or do you think you have potential to both?
I think what we're looking for is we're looking for those big reactions from people that aren't used to dealing with with people like these, and so I'm stereotyping. I think you're going to find that more often in the small towns, and you also get that small town charm. There's no reason we couldn't go into a big city, but I think we just want to have, when we get the good, authentic interactions with people, and we're really going to be doing actual good projects, there's stakes for everybody to get this project done, and it can really happen anywhere. They're good at interacting with people.
Mike Roth, folks, Beauty Shop Quartet. Sorry about my dupa there. That was very rude. Vita and Bill, you are next. This is Vita Urbonis and Bill Kurz. And 1 second, folks. Judges, on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the best, write your scores privately, and then we'll compare at the end. My apologies. Once again, Vita and Bill, their program is Beyond the Line. Vita and Bill.
Okay.
Come on.
Hello.
So there seems to be this nasty little rumor about fire not being so hot. I'd like to assure you that this is a show about fire, like Deadliest Catch is a show about fishing.
Again, we want to focus in on the character aspect of the show. This show, called Beyond the Line, is a show about characters who happen to be rescuers for their careers. Now, think of each, like in Deadliest Catch, think of each house as a different boat. So what we do is we go to different houses in the Denver metro area, rescue houses, and we follow these raw characters. Then you also, since we follow these folks into the action, you throw in an element of I survived, where the victim then becomes a character too, when we go back and follow up with these people who have survived these amazing, amazing stories. Now, through our process, we have been able to get access into firehouses and rescue agencies and put helmet cams, HD helmet cams, on these rescuers. So for the first time ever, you get a chance to go beyond the line. You get to go in the action. You get to go in the fires. You get to go inside a car that's upside down. And we also dissect the science behind it. Rescue is also a science.
And with these different houses, you have very, very different sets of characters. Now, the cool thing about firemen is that they're equally respected and looked up to by men and women, and equally lusted after by women. But on a more serious note, until now, no one has really captured these heroes and showed they have a real defined gallows sense of humor. They'll tell you that if they weren't able to laugh, they'd probably go crazy from all the tragedy that they deal with.
On that note also, too, a lot of folks in the past have never captured the true character of these rescue heroes because it takes a sense of trust to get to know them. Through our unbelievable contacts with Denver and West Metro fire and rescue agencies, we've been able to put these helmet cams on a select group of rescuers and get up inside the action. The terrain is extremely diverse. You have Colfax in downtown Denver, where you have a lot of homeless people, you have a lot of alcoholics, so you get some very bizarre stories. However, you're also butt up to the edge of the mountain, so you have these rescues with helmet cams. Imagine being at Red Rocks, traversing over this line, trying to rescue someone up there, or deep water, swift water rescue as well. We get up inside the scene behind that. Let's take a look.
Welcome to Tower 4, leave your feelings at the door. That's Model Boy. He claims that he did a friend a favor by modeling. So somebody got their hands on these particular photos, and now there's the wallpaper on the computers in the firehouse.
Neil's a good firefighter, loves to joke around.
I was a Denver police officer for 4 years. People wave at me like this instead of like this now.
We get a call of a rollover, party's trapped. Oh boy. It looked as if the vehicle had jumped the barrier and rode the Jersey barrier for about 200 to 300 feet and was actually hanging over what looked like about a 14 or 15 foot embankment.
I've never had an experience where I felt like somebody didn't think I belonged here. Except for that, Jack.
We have Andy the engineer.
We noticed these guys over here hitting their tires with a sledgehammer. There's a plumber over there doing a side job as a tire guy.
Somebody's nose is cut off.
This man was like dumping a piece of glass into a dumpster, and somehow it slipped and cut his nose, and so his nose was just basically holding on by the very bottom.
We should have someone there in a moment, and they would be aware.
You know, the scariest thing was every window I'd break out, I'd holler for Susan, never heard a word.
Getting out of the truck, you just saw a massive wall of fire.
What's your name?
fire department. You're okay.
Response to report structure fires.
We're here to help.
So, thanks. So some of the other footage we've shot includes video of a heavy rescue crew looking for a child in the field through their thermal imaging equipment. Our first responder, Sean, sees blood on the road and focuses in at his equipment and sees a small body. It comes up on the monitor, and it's incredibly dramatic because the car had this car seat in it without a child in it when it was flipped over. So they pan up to him seeing what's going on, and it turns out, fortunately, it was just a coyote this particular time, but just this particular time.
And we have so much amazing footage. I hope y'all can help me or hear me. We have so much amazing footage. Another one is Melissa, who you saw in there. She's kind of a spitfire. She goes inside a car that's turned over on its side, and you see the back of this woman's head. She's holding onto the wheel, and they start cutting the roof off. You know how they go and they use a cutters to cut the roof off. So you get to see from inside the car on that one.
And Vita, with that, we have to cut you off.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
We have a packet for you with a budget.
Okay, great.
And we'd like to thank John, our mentor.
John Bird was the mentor. John, any comments along the way?
Well, first of all, I think their sizzle reel turned out great. One of the issues doing a show for cable is trying to identify the problems with the show inherent. And this kind of a show, a firefighter show, is a hard show to sell. So talking with Bill and Vita, we decided let's get that elephant out of the room immediately and discuss it, which was the deadliest catch pitch point, which I thought was well done. And also adding more female into the sizzle reel. So it's identifying those issues and then trying to deal with those issues at the get-go so the network doesn't immediately turn off.
Okay. Gentlemen, any other questions?
I wanted to make a comment. What I would do in that case, and this is a suggestion, is that, and you made me think of this, is that you don't pitch it as a fire show. It's a rescue show. It's not. It seems to me, from what I've seen, it's the bulk of it is rescue.
It is rescue.
And
it is not
rescue shows have done well in scripted programming, and you could tie this in. You say there's a history of this instead of just saying that it's a firehouse show. Right. Yeah.
Dave, you had a question?
Yeah, I'm wondering, in your experience doing the demo reel, what percentage of the trips that you went on were false leads, where there really wasn't a story, and how will that affect the budget?
Honestly, we are in an area, Station 1, out of West Metro Fire, and then we also have this, we've got what we call the secret sauce. We can't give it away, but we have safety officers and chiefs that we can follow, so we get to go to all of the big incidents in the entire region. So we have tons of fire, we have tons of rollovers, we have, like we talked about, those amazing situations, just these stories. Like one day we walked into the firehouse and everyone was just devastated because another firefighter, not in their house, had responded to a baby being slammed on a table. And even though they weren't there, the guy apparently who responded couldn't talk. They went through the whole issue of they go to a special class afterwards. I mean, it's just the impact of these characters. Plus they have food fights. They're always throwing stuff. I mean, these guys are nuts.
Your tax dollars at work.
Yes.
Beyond the line, Vita Urbonis and Bill Kurz, ladies and gentlemen. And judges, if you will give them a value of between 1 and 5, 5 being the best. And again, we will concur later. We will confab later, as they say. Our final contestant among dozens of entries all over the world. Tom Peeney and Sean O'Brien. Sean's the host of the show, and the show is Really Cool Jobs. Gentlemen.
Hi, guys. I'm Sean O'Brien. This is Tom Peeney. Our production company is Crazy Baby Productions. Funny, right? What we wanted to do is we just wanted to express our gratitude to be here as emerging producers. We feel like we're already winners because look where we are in front of you guys here and getting able to pitch a show in front of some television big shots. What else could you possibly want? You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
You guys interested in hearing how we got the idea for our show? Well, I'm going to tell you anyways, whether you're interested or not. I'm driving to the dentist one day, and I'm not thinking about anything in particular. All of a sudden, this idea just pops into my head. And I was like, that's it. That's the idea for our show. So I called Tom, and I'm like, dude, I got it. I got the idea for our TV show. He's like, what is it? I said, it's called Really Cool Jobs. And what we're going to do is we're going to travel the country, and we're going to interview people whose jobs are so great and so cool that they just can't wait to get up and start their day. They can't wait to get to work every day. And he goes, I like it. And I said, you do? He's like, yeah, I do. I said, okay, good. I like it too. That's what I thought of it. So after that, he goes, it sounds like we're going to need a host for the show. And I said, yeah, I'm going to host it. He said, you? I said, yeah, don't you think I'm fun, funny, good-looking, engaging, good-looking? And he said, yeah, I think you could do it. So I said, yeah, I think we can do it too. So here we are, and check out Really Cool Jobs.
I'm Sean O'Brien. The mission for my new TV show is to track people down. People that actually like to get up and go to work every day. People like these guys. That's because they've got really cool jobs.
I am partying like a rock star with the DJs at Club Live at the Fontainebleau in South Beach. I am way the heck up in Alaska, fishing on the Kenai River, and I'm looking for the next new world record salmon, because this is where they live. Today I'm in Big Sky Country, you know, Colorado, where I'm roping dogies and riding the range at the Diamond Sea Ranch. I just can't look like a city slicker out here. I gotta impress you.
Looking good.
Thanks. All right, we're off. Ready, partner? I'm here with Jim Wasa, Chief of Pyrotechnics, Developing and Prototyping from Picatinny Arsenal, also known as Pyro One.
We worked on technology called dark light. It's infrared illumination. It's completely dark for them, but yet we can see just like it was daylight.
So in other words, it really sucks being the enemy.
Yeah, it could ruin your day real fast.
Yeah. You get like instant feedback from people when they try your product. Yep. They either hug you or spit the beer out. Hey, don't bogart that, huh? This isn't as easy as it looks. That's good. You got any more?
I bet you think that I've got a really cool job. Well, I gotta tell you, there's a lot more to it than just funny games or shameless perks. On this show, I'm gonna find out exactly how these people got their jobs, what makes their job so cool, and what it's gonna take for you to get a job like this. And if your job is cool enough, you may get a visit from me.
Thank you. Yeah, as you can see, the style of the show is going to be fun, entertaining, definitely humorous, but we also want to put a lot of kind of information in it, and most importantly, because the show is relevant. Jobs are a hot topic, I think, not only in America, but in the world. I mean, even people who have jobs might be looking for something better, and that is where we think our real hotspot is, with the fact that everybody wants jobs. Another great aspect for the show, for any kind of network, is the show is configurable. And what I mean by that is the show is going to be created in self-contained segments. So it could work either as a half-hour show or an hour show, depending on a network's needs. And we can reconfigure shows for special weeks or theme shows, and even like behind the scenes. And the reason we feel that way is because the idea, the core idea, is simple yet very strong.
That's right. That's right. What we want to try to do is we want to talk to people, like if I was going to go talk to a firefighter, that's a cool job, but I want to talk to the guy who trains the smoke jumpers in Idaho jumping out of the planes to fight forest fires. That's the really cool job. But all the jobs don't have to necessarily be all death and dismemberment and explosions and stuff. We met a woman who's a director for a food bank. So every day, her really cool job is she gets to feed the homeless. She gets to go to work and make a difference in people's lives. So that's really cool. So it has such a such a breadth. The length and breadth of the opportunities is fabulous.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Tom Peany, Sean O'Brien, really cool jobs. Charlie, you were the mentor. What do you got to say?
Well, I feared a little bit for the show, only from this sense, and I think they've overcome this. But the show itself cannot fall into the category of an interview show. It's got to be a show that becomes a reality show. That means it's got to be written. In other words, you just don't show up and ask somebody questions. You have to have bits, you have to have humor built in, you have to have jokes written, pre-written, organized. You have to have lots of shots, lots of angles. And I think they're aware of that and they have taken care of it. Also, when you're the producer and you're the host, you can't fire yourself. So that's a big problem.
Peter, David, John, or David?
I think you guys have really cool jobs. I'm just wondering who you're targeting this for, because I'm not sure I see a clear path to the market.
Well, we did a little bit of a non-scientific focus group, and I'm telling you, John, that the group that we focused on was from 6 to 60, and everybody loved it. We probably heard from 200 people, and there was no negativity. Nobody said, I didn't get it, that show stunk, it didn't get me interested. It was great. So I think it's got a broad spectrum of viewers.
But no particular network as far as...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, off the top of the head, we think it would be a perfect fit with Dirty Jobs. The juxtaposition would be incredible. We were joking about doing promos where Mike Rowe would come out dirty head to toe, and he would come out in like a three-piece suit with caviar. And I think it would just be really funny. But, we could even... change the structure a little bit to maybe put a little more history in the kind of job it is to fit a History Channel, or even travel, maybe show more of where the job is located. We think we could fit it quite a bit in quite a multitude of channels.
Even on Oprah's.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off,
That's
guys.
all right.
We got to do some
Thank
judging here. All right, judges, start adding them up. When you have your cumulative numbers, why don't you pass them to me? I'll add mine, and we'll see where it goes. Thank you very much, Lou. All righty. As the judges are doing their thing, I want to just outline a few things that we learned today just in the contestants being questioned by our esteemed panel. First of all, I think David's idea of efficiency in production is a terrific one. And in this day and age, when a lot of networks want you to get a half hour done for under $100 grand, that's going to help you a lot. Also, the big question, who is this intended for? Both a network and an audience. It's not really good enough to say it's a broad spectrum. It's better to say a male audience or a female audience or an 18 to 49 audience, anything like that. Vita and Bill, you addressed it right up front, as was mentioned. You got rid of the logical objection, and then Charlie, you followed through with great advice on how to really sort of recategorize the show. There was a guy years ago in syndication when that was a business, Sandy Frank, and he came out with Name That Tune, and he called it Game-tertainment. He created a new category of game and entertainment. Vita, Bill, you were good on the budget and the materials. When do you give the materials, folks? After your pitch, not before, not during. We are ADD people in this business. Thank you, Charlie. Everything here? Okay. And we need to, no. You need to tell us, and then you need to tell us again. All right, let's see what we got here. I'm going to do this. And 4. Yes, okay. Better hook the length. Is it a 30? Is it a 60? What are you looking for? A production, a co-production, a commission? Tom and Sean, you talked, I thought, very well about the expansion of the brand. And how it could go beyond what this show is and how it can be cross-promoted. Charlie, terrific. A reality show isn't let's go to the deli and see how they make corned beef. It's we're going to go in and we're going to create this little situation. Let's face it, folks, that is what passes for reality these days. So, all right, I'm adding these up. Thanks for cueing this, guys, a lot. This is not the idea. 4.5. You know, I almost did that too, David. What the heck did Gary do, though, all right? Let's see. We got 3, 6, 9. Folks, start lining up for questions because we're going to take some of those. In fact, right now, if anyone has a question, why don't you hop over to the mic there, and we'll be happy to do it. I see someone not there. Okay, 9, 12, 18, 21, 9, 12, 16. Whoa! Ladies and gentlemen, the winners this year of Opportunity Knocks Answer with the Perfect Pitch. They got over the hump, beyond the line. Vita and Bill, congratulations. We give them nice going, very nice going. Bill, nice going. Again, they received this totally worthless diploma, but in doing so, it entitles you to a year of Cable U and the envy of all of your peers and friends. Let's hear it for them one more time, folks. All right, we have some questions here. Sir.
Hello, how are you? Jose Bravo with Clear Image. Can you hear me? Yeah. My question always is when I'm working with with networks is they're always asking me either for ideas, but they never really give me parameters in terms of the amount of money that they have. And it's always, you know, a back and forth in terms of like, well, give me some parameters. What's the norm that you guys ask for when you're doing, you know, when you're receiving pitches or when you're doing commissions, things like that?
What's the norm of
because
price or?
Yeah, well, yeah, either price or if there's a norm in terms of what to expect from your client without, you know, asking them for too much or too little.
That's an enormous question. David, you want to tackle it?
I think the norm is, what are you willing to pay? And then
Well,
we make it work.
That's exactly, you know, which way I go. A lot of times they just sort of like throw it back on my court.
Well, I think you got to start from what does it cost you to produce this? And then you marry that with what that network pays for programming. And you better be ready to justify every penny that goes into production, any distribution costs, development costs for a company like Cable Ready, or hiring someone here as a consultant or bringing another producer in. So there's a lot of factors, and candidly, something like Cable U can help you answer those questions. Over here, we have a question.
Yes, we've seen some really great pitches for reality shows. I was wondering if you had any advice for people that were pitching, say, hour-long dramas or half-hour comedies.
Any difference, guys, in putting together a fully scripted program than a nonfiction, unscripted program?
Well, the scripted world is a much smaller world and demands a higher track record. You know, the barriers to entry are very high for scripted programming. For non-scripted, it's easier to get into that field, into that area. So I have no big, but you better have somebody along with you that has had quite a bit of experience in drama, in writing drama, and the like.
Yeah, most scripted shows, you have to have a showrunner that is acceptable by the network. Otherwise, you'll never get in the door.
Okay, and the other side, please.
Hi, Michelle Miller from A Little Bit of Good Productions. I'm wondering, when making a pitch, how helpful it is to you to hear things like us using examples as they did with The Deadliest Catch. If we're saying it's The Amazing Race meets Wife Swap, is that helpful for you to visualize it, or does it pigeonhole the pitch?
Charlie, when you were getting a pitch like that, you know, and it said,
Repeat-
well, it's
repeat
Curb
a
Your
little bit because
Enthusiasm
it's
meets
hard to
Oprah.
hear because we're not getting any feed. What
Right.
was that?
Sort of the way to describe a show is this meets that, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
better. Yeah. Right. No, I think people like to hear that. They discount it a little bit. They say, well, you know.
It's easy to say
But the
that.
better thing is, the better thing if you're doing a pitch like that is to say, we have some of the most successful elements of these successful shows, but our show is different in this way. And if you have a teaser tape, they're going to see it. In other words, you don't have to press that too much. If you got a great talent and the show and the teaser tape is well produced, the buyer is going to see that, and you don't have to say, well, it's like this. It'll be obvious when you show them a little teaser and say, oh, that's like this. But sometimes you have to explain why it's different.
And you should always think in terms of if that program was profiled in a little paragraph in the New York Times or TV Guide or Entertainment Weekly, how would it be described? Okay? And then the thing that will lead you to is your elevator pitch. Is to describe this thing in 30 seconds or less.
Yeah, that's good.
Gary,
Okay,
if I may
David?
just throw in one more thing. A lot of the best ideas come out of left field, and I recommend everyone here, if you haven't read the book, Desperate Networks by Bill Carter. He chronicles 3 or 4 of the great shows of the last 15 years, all of which were turned down everywhere and were not really like anything else. So a lot of it is perseverance as much as anything else to succeed in this business. Bill Carter, he is a journalist
Bill
from the New York
Carter
Times.
is one of the best television writers. He wrote 3 Blind Mice about the one year when every network changed hands and Fox was formed. So if you read one book, read more than one book, first of all. Anyway, you should read that book. Next in line, please. Didn't we see you over there? You moving all around or something?
I did move, yes. Hi, Nikki, have a seat. I started off working on a documentary that we got early investors for, and then as the material began to unfold, we realized we had enough for a series. And so now that there's been money invested in it, I'm wondering when you're pitching, you talked about co-production, production, commission, not having produced a show for a network before, but having a fair amount of experience. What is the best way to approach that to recoup the money that's been input and have some input on the content? Do I need to get
Peter
a co-production?
and Charlie, you're the network guys. What do you say?
Repeat it a little bit because of the
How
acoustics
do you
are
know
so
what
bad.
to go in with? Commission or
Co-production or
co-pro?
get a showrunner?
Now, look at it. If you got a strong idea, the network's going to want to own it outright.
Exactly.
And you're
And most
probably
networks
and you're
want
going to have
that
to
anyway.
fight like mad to get rights.
Even
I
if
mean-
you've shot a good deal of the footage already?
Yeah.
Yeah? So it just,
You should be prepared to give the network everything, and then come in. No, because you want to produce, get the thing funded. You're not bringing any money to the table. Now, you could bring some co-production money, but that isn't important to, like an A&E or History or Discovery. They have enough money. They can buy, these shows are not that expensive that they can't buy all the rights.
And if you go into that network, first of all, you got to go in knowing how they do business. Do they always commission everything like an A&E network? One way kind of around that is if you come in with, let's say, a Canadian channel and you're a Canadian production company, you've got that card to play. If you've done a key deal, maybe in the UK, that is not competitive with someone, they might, if they really like the show.
And you may be, if they really like the show, you may be able to withhold some VOD, streaming rights or something like that.
Right.
But you need a rationale for it. You can't say, well, I want that.
Right.
You got to say, well, it's got to fits in with one of the people that we're working with or whatever.
I also have life story rights, so I don't know if that makes a difference to the key characters.
Well, what makes a difference is, do you have unique access to the idea, to the person, to whatever?
Yes.
Because that makes you, I won't say it gives you more leverage, but it makes you more important.
It gives you everything.
Yeah.
If you've got a top talent and they want that talent, you've got everything.
We got time for one more question, right there, sir.
Real simple. How important is it to know your audience? I mean, do you guys really want to focus in? I heard it up there several times with you guys. I mean, is that really important?
When you say audience, you mean who you're pitching to,
No,
or who the show
target
will...
audience. Who the
I don't see how you'd
who the
go in
show's for.
without knowing, right? What that network's audience.
quite hear the question.
The question is, how important is it to know your audience? Is that it?
To know who the show is for.
Well, again, I mean,
Is that everything?
first of all the people, you need to subscribe to Cable News, sir. Give me your card afterwards. I'll give you a day of it, and that'll make you feel better. But at any rate, you're going to know that if you pitch it to Nickelodeon, it's going to be different than if you pitch it to Retirement Living. And if you don't know that going in, or you say it's a broad appeal show, believe me, folks, I've seen this. Just because there was a woman in it didn't mean it was for lifetime, right?
The bulk of the networks all have the same profile. 18 to 49, either skew a little female or skew a little male. The problem is where you run into shows that are 99% male in appeal. Then you've got to adjust to where you're taking it. But what really makes the show successful is if you can get a dual audience, but it's usually in that 18 to 49 hole. So if you got something that skews really, you feel this is too old. You're not,
I just want to see if we have 1 minute of comments from our other panelists here. David, any parting words for the gang here?
Well, I'd say that everyone has ideas, but it's the track record that really gets the network's attention. So if you have a great idea, find a producer, assuming that you don't have a great track record yet, find someone who does and partner up with them, because it's better to get a little piece of something than nothing, and that's what you'll get if you have a great idea but no track record.
Peter, any thoughts?
I was going to echo that statement because the woman who asked the question about, X show meets Y show, it always gives me pause when I see that in the first line of any kind of proposal. If it's a good idea, it'll travel.
Mr. Burrid.
The only thing I would say is that a lot of producers think that you have to make programming that is exactly like what you see on that network. And sometimes the key is to make programming that could fit on that network, but it's something totally different and something totally new. And we did that with Women Behind Bars, where when We was the wedding network, and this was a completely different show, but it fit their demo, it fit the women, and it was something different. So different ideas can work too at networks that are very familiar that may not take. If you look at what's out there now, a lot of this stuff is very different than it was 4 or 5 years ago.
I wouldn't do a cupcake show. I hear the next thing is pies.
Well, there goes that.
Pies. If you have a pie show, come and see me. Cable Ready's booth is 400, and we'd love to have you stop by since you all are producers. If you have something we ought to see, stop Peter, myself, Lou Occhione's maybe somewhere around here, or Tatiana. We're all at the booth at one time or another. Go to cableu.tv and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm glad you're here. It shows you're passionate about what you do. Don't forget to come next year and bring a friend. Thank you, everyone.